I speak now to Joe Jones, delegate for the Virginia State Legislation. Now, you are one of the major patrons of the legislation to abolish the death penalty. Very good to talk to you. This is a big deal.
It is an incredibly big deal. We are the first Southern state to abolish the death penalty, the 23rd in the United States. I think even just a few years ago, signing this bill into law would be unthinkable, but it is the byproduct of a ton of hard work, a lot of passion by advocates across the state and lawmakers, and I think a changing climate here in Virginia and across the country.
And there's no way to sugarcoat it, is there? This is a penalty that has been applied disproportionately across the country and historically against black people.
Absolutely. I think this practice has its roots in racism. It is the descendant of lynching. It is state-sponsored murder in a way that we don't want to have in our system anymore. It doesn't reflect our values. That's not who we are, and the data speaks for itself. It does disproportionately affect black people, particularly here in Virginia, and that is something that we could no longer stand for.
Clearly, for a long time, apparently it did reflect a significant portion of the values in the state. Was there a particular moment, a particular case that changed enough people's minds?
You know, I think it was the byproduct of a lot of work. I think we had gotten to a point where we needed to fully reassess our justice system, and this was one of the many things that we were able to do, not just in this legislative session in 2021, but even last year during our special session in 2020. And I certainly think that as we move ahead, people will look to Virginia for continued reforms in our justice system. And I think this is one that we will herald as a long time coming and something that will make our Commonwealth more equitable and just.
When was the last time Virginia executed somebody? And were there people who were very close to going to the death penalty who now will not?
We have not executed someone in quite some time. There are two folks who were on death row. This legislation would actually make it so that they will not be executed. It was retroactive in its application. So those folks will probably be in jail for the rest of their lives without prison, but they will not be executed by the state. Today, when the governor signed it at Greensville Correctional Facility, I think it was a powerful moment for us to be there and in that moment, knowing that there were two folks who were there who will no longer be subjected to this heinous and barbaric punishment.
There was a surge, of course, in applications of the death penalty just before Mr. Trump left office, but there seems to be a move against it right across the country. What impact do you think Virginia's decision will have?
Well, I think it's important for folks to understand that, you know, this is Virginia. This is a place that has a challenging history with race, but we have, I think, confronted that head on, especially in the last couple of years. And this is but another step in that process. And I would hope that the other states, the 27 that are left, that still do employ the death penalty, that they'll take a really hard look at that, follow Virginia's lead and those who have come before us and say, we don't want to engage in this practice any longer. The United States is on a very ignominious list of countries that still do employ this practice. And it's not something that I think any of us, as we look ahead, would like to be a part of.
When you talk, as I'm sure you have, to families and friends of people who've died at the hands of people who might have been executed, what reaction do you get from the families and the friends to this change?
Well, I think it's important to know that there were 7 legislators in the General Assembly in Virginia who have family members who've been victims of murder and folks who were on death row, and they were facing those penalties. And even those folks voted to repeal the death penalty because I think we are now moving into a period, in particular in Virginia, where we don't want that to be a part of our system. But certainly it's a challenging sort of set of circumstances when you're even confronted with those most heinous crimes. I think the governor said it today, and I agree, if you commit a terrible and tragic crime, you're going to be punished accordingly. But we're not going to execute you because the state should not be in the business of executing its citizens.
Joe Jones, thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.